Welcome back to Solving Division Equations, Part 2. Hopefully you solved the last question, p over 7 equals 5, and had the right answer. If you didn't finish that, please do that in the Part 1 note check first before moving on to Part 2. At the end of Part 2, please complete Part 2 note check. Thank you. Welcome back. Hopefully you've checked your answer and you decided that you should multiply both sides by 7 over 1. Always do the same to both sides. Never leave your scale unbalanced. Okay, these cancel out and you're left with p equals 7 times 5, which is 35. Obviously, we would want to check our answer, so we would put 35 in for p. 35 divided by 7 should equal 5, and it does. Let's give ourselves a star. Good job. Okay, go ahead and go to your last page. Okay, the multiplication property of equality. If you multiply each side of an equation by the same non-zero number, the two sides remain equal. That's called the multiplication property of equality. That just means that if you multiply the same number on both sides of an equation, you get the same answer. So here's some examples. Using numbers, 3 equals 3, obviously. 3 times 6 equals 3 times 6. 18 is 18. Whatever we did to one side, we had to do to the other. Now, looking at algebra, it's the same thing. If I have x over 4 equals 7, that is the same thing as saying x over 4 times 4 equals 7 times 4, because we times both sides by 4, which leaves us with x over 28. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and do a couple of examples of solving one-step equations. Okay, let me give you a couple of examples. Okay, add a page to your notes, please. Let's see, I think there we go. Okay, so let's add a page to your notes and let's solve w over 6 equals 35. Okay, let's rewrite it as 1/6 w equals 35, just so it's a little more obvious what we should do. To get rid of the 1/6, we should multiply by the reciprocal, 6 over 1, and we should do that to both sides. Okay, this cancels out. We're left with w equals 35 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 3 is 210. Now let's test our answer. We should always test our solution to see if we are correct. Put the 210 in for w. 210 divided by 6 does in fact equal 35. You can always check with your calculator if you like. So we get a check there. Good job. Let's go ahead and do one more. Maybe more. One, maybe two. This one. S over 4 equals 22. This time I'm not going to actually rewrite the problem. I'm going to have us just times it by the reciprocal. Whenever you see this fraction, it is read S divided by 4. If you hear the words divided by, that means you need to multiply to get the variable by itself. So you need to multiply by 4 on both sides. Okay, so we times by 4 on both sides. These cancel out. You are left with S equals 88. Plug it in to make sure that it is correct. 88 divided by 4 does in fact equal 22. Good work. Okay, now let's do, I promise you, this is actually the last one. Well, maybe I'm going to do a couple more. I keep changing my mind. Nathan picked a total of 60 apples in 1/3 hour. Write and solve a division equation to find out how many apples Nathan could pick in an hour. So let's write this down. Nathan picked a total of 60 apples in 1/3 hour. Write and solve a division equation to find out how many apples could he pick in 1 hour. How many will he pick in 1 hour? Okay, the way our division equation should look is A, let's use A for our variable for apples, A times 1/3, because it says of, whenever you see the word of, that usually means multiply, 1/3 of apples equals 60. You could have also written it as, let's see, or you could have written it as A over 3 equals 60. We will times both sides by 3 to get our solution. This cancels out, and we are left with A equals 180. If we check it, 1/3 times 180 does equal 60. Good job. Okay, let's do one more, this time with a decimal, and this time I really promise it's the last one. Okay, R over 8.5 equals 16, or R divided by 8.5 is equal to 16. Please remember that the fraction bar, I'm going to write this over here because it's so important. Fraction bar means divided by. That is really important. Okay, so when we see divided by, that means to get rid of it, we have to multiply. Decimals don't change the process. We just times it by, whoops, I don't like that. We just times by the decimal. Okay, so these cancel out just like any other numbers would, and R equals 16 times 8.5. So let's go ahead and write that over here. 16 times 8.5. Hopefully you have not forgotten your decimal multiplication rules. Okay, 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. Placeholder. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 2, so 12. And we have 0. 8 plus 8 is 16. 3, 1, and then hopefully you remember there's one place after the decimal, so that means we need to bump our decimal over 1 here, and our final answer is 136. We should plug that in to make sure that it is correct. 136 divided by 8.5 should equal 16. If we plug that into our calculator, we will find out that that is correct. Good job. Hopefully this makes sense to you, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and good luck on all your practice problems and your checkpoint. Bye for now.